Thanks for joining me this morning. Today I'm going to be talking about a pregnancy portrait. I was on Alice Capelli's YouTube channel. I think that's how you say her last name. And she was talking also about a pregnancy portrait. Looking back at the art, she talks about how years ago, many women were looked at who were pregnant as something that was basically shameful. It was something that was, sacred in a religious text or context. And then she talks about how it's been glamorized nowadays. So I want to talk about that too, and I don't want to copy her, but I did appreciate some of her history where she talks about how during the Enlightenment era, we had a different view of women being pregnant to now. So one of the women that she had on her clips was one of the actresses from the movie Precious. The movie Precious was very heartbreaking to me, and basically this girl had a very awful home life. She was in awful dirt poverty. She had been sexually abused and was pregnant at a young age with her, I think it was her stepfather, maybe. Yeah, no, I think it was her real father who had sexually molested her. And then she was pregnant again. She had no resources. She didn't even know how to read. So this is even in the colleges, this movie, where you are taking a very desperate situation and showing this mainstream. I found this movie to be a little bit more realistic towards something of maybe the 60s. I didn't find it to be really mainstream. And sometimes we're using this movie in of itself to say this is the real picture of women who have no resources and therefore, need an abortion. And again, I didn't find that this was real mainstream. And one of the main things I had actually gotten from this movie was that this girl had the help to get out of that situation. And a lot of the help she did was her own self improvement. She learned how to read and write. In her writing, where she was able to get out a lot of the stuff that happened to her, is what actually helped her change. And so we have a couple views here that are coming out with, women being shamed for being pregnant, to something religious where it's sacred, to now being glamorized. Some of the girls are saying, I saw someone in one of the comments on her post, that they don't even have a reality of what a pregnancy is because it's so glamorized. And I think if we really want to understand pregnancy, we don't always have to be online. We can really, do some research for ourselves. What I do like about, some of the women glamorizing their pregnancy is that they are taking an individual responsibility for their pregnancy and showing that it's not a negative thing. Does it have to be sexualized? Not really. I mean, it's pregnancy, I don't think is really meant to, be a thing that, women who are pregnant are looking to, always sexualize it. I think sometimes it is sexualized, whether they meant to have it that way or not. Maybe looking for the men's gaze. I'm not sure. I don't always read these articles, but I do know a lot of women in the past who were poor or were not empowered were, welfare moms or Jezebels or whatever you want to call them. And what we're trying to do is change the narrative and show that pregnancy is actually a wonderful thing. It's a gift and it's something to be proud of. And I still think motherhood is one of the greatest achievements for women. And I know Alice on her channel had mentioned that some of the photographers who took pictures of these glamorized women are still keeping the gender roles, that women are, feminine goddesses and men are the leaders, the poets, the writers, the photographers, etc. And she's hoping that that will change in the future. I'm actually one who would think very differently and think that the roles, the gender roles, would need to stay the same. And I'm not saying that women can't get out there and work. I've seen a lot of, what do we call it? Just channels saying that women should just stay home. A recent channel I looked at was saying that a woman's place is not in the workforce at all. And I did disagree with her. I think the Proverbs 31 woman I had said to this woman definitely shows a woman can work hard for her family. She can be out in the field. Her husband was in the community. I think we limit ourselves saying women do not belong in the workforce, but we also need to realize that usually when a woman is married, it's her, it's like the beginning years of her marriage relationship that she is having most of her children. So I think there's different seasons in life for different things. I think a woman can, while she's having children, be educating herself and bettering herself while she's having her babies. And I think she can do things on the side when time allows. And she can eventually have that freedom as the children grow to do something with her gifts and talents and abilities. But I do think it is a privilege to be able to be home with your children, to be able to put your family first. I think that is always the ideal, is that a woman is to be focused on her family. And then later on, as time permits, she can be helping other women. And that's how I see the biblical role of womanhood, that the older women are to teach the younger woman what's good. And as society is moving away from that and abortion is becoming more prevalent, I'm on these channels where girls just do not want motherhood. And I really think they are gypping themselves. And so when we do see women out there who are willing to get out there and show how wonderful it is, that is really challenging the narrative that we've had for many young girls to think that it's a negative thing and, kids are brats and who wants to be pregnant. So for celebrities to get out there and show that pregnancy is a beautiful thing, I applaud. I don't think like Demi Moore has to show, basically a naked photo shot, but I do think it is something that we definitely need to encourage. That's a beautiful thing more often for young girls.